eu acho. Deixa eu colocar aqui. Nós estamos live. Hello, everyone. Let's just set here the computer properly. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vanderlei Massafelli. We have here Roberto Watanabe. He is the president of the São Paulo Spiritist Federation of São Paulo. He's going to be talking with us tonight. Normally, Stephen, he's conducting the talk on Tuesdays, but Stephen, he's quite busy. Thanks for being here, Roberto. It's a pleasure. Would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Yes, hello, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here with you and to talk about the transitory planetary transition. So I hope you like, and may the peace of Jesus be in our hearts. Thank you.
That's good. Roberto, the way we do is like this. We have until about 7 o'clock. So from 7 o'clock, we're going to have some questions. Would that be okay for you?
Yes, it's okay.
Perfect. Okay, so would like to also to say thank you to the Kardec Radio, who is helping us, having us here. Let me show here the banner. It's supposed to be here. Okay, we're gonna add here, but I'd like to thank Kardec Radio because this talk today is being shown in America, so we are quite happy for that. In order to start our talk tonight, we're gonna do our initial prayer. So I'd like to ask everyone who would like to close their eyes, to take a deep breath. Close your eyes. We would like to thank the mentors of the group. We'd like to thank our Master Jesus for the presence here tonight. We'd like to thank Roberto Watanabe for his great time here with us. And let's ask guidance to the good spirits to open our hearts and our minds in order to learn about the planetary transition, this very difficult moment that we are passing through. So we wish to all a very fruitful time here tonight. Thank God, and so be it. Okay, Roberto, I'm going to be here in the background. I'm going to be taking my camera off, but I'm listening to everything that you are saying. If you need help, just let me know, and we're going to be here. Would that be okay?
Okay, are you seeing the presentation?
Yes, we are seeing the presentation. Let me see here in YouTube. Everything is working fine. We are seeing here also. We are live. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Robert, thank you very much. See you soon.
See you. Okay, so to talk about this issue, the planetary transition, which is a great process we are going through these times, actually to start about 2 centuries ago. And we must go back about 2,000 years back in time to the moment when Jesus were pronouncing his prophetic sermon. Because in this sermon, Jesus anticipated the main events that would happen, that would occur from his time to our time and even beyond our time. So that's what we are seeing, some fragments of his sermon. So we picked up here a passage from this sermon where Jesus says, this is also cited on the Genesis, the book written by Allan Kardec in the chapter 17. So there, Jesus says that, he says, for you will see nation rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be plagues, famine, and earthquakes in many places. So what is Jesus talking about here? He basically is talking what happened on the last, let's say, 18 centuries. Okay, so for example, in this or even this 2,000 years after Jesus, we will have, as he predicted it, many wars which is the nation rising against a nation. We may mention, for example, one of these wars. There were many wars, including religious one, and then we can mention the Crusades on the 11th to 12th century. So he says also about plagues, and we have that great plague in the 14th century, which took millions of lives. And that plague on the 14th century was preceded by a great famine also. And regarding earthquakes, we can remember of the earthquake on the city of Lisbon in Portugal in 1775, which is mainly destroyed all the city. So that's what Jesus had predicted at that time. But we also must mention that on these 18th centuries, or from his time until the 18th century, we have also some progress. Okay, so science have progress. We can mention the works of Copernicus, Galileo, and Newton. Science detaching from philosophy with this scientific method. On the philosophy field, we can mention the passage from the ancient philosophy, from the Greeks, to the medieval philosophy, where great thinkers like Saint Augustine, Saint Thomas Aquinas, making deep reflections about God. And then we have the passage from the medieval to the modern philosophy. Modern philosophy based on the ideas of humanism from the Renaissance period in the 15th to 16th century, and also modern philosophies based upon the scientific revolution also. And in the field of religion, we can mention the Reformation by Martin Luther in the 16th century. So there were wars, there were plagues, there were famines, earthquakes, but also great progress in the material side, intellectual aspect. So then after that, Jesus says that he's announced that the Son of Man will appear in the sky. So it is a kind of a symbolic way of mentioning something that would happen in the future. And then he says that all the nations will be gathered before him and will separate some from the others, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. So if you can remember from the Gospels, he says that sheep would be at his right, goats to his left. So what is Jesus talking about here? He's just announcing here the planetary transition, this coming of the Son of Man, this judgment of the sheep and goats. So it's something that we will see soon after, as we're going through our presentation, that this is exactly the process we are going through now of the planetary transition. So Allan Kardec in the middle of the 19th century, in that book that I mentioned, Genesis, on the chapter 18, he talks about the sign of the times. So there, Allan Kardec is talking about what Jesus had anticipated there on that judgment talking, okay? So Kardec says in his book, the time set by God has come, we are told everywhere, in which great events will occur for the regeneration of humankind. So Kardec is talking here about a process that is happening now on Earth that implies an evolution process. So Earth our planet is going through a process where the humankind will reach a better situation than we have now. So then he says, because earthly humanity has reached one of these periods of growth, it had been working vigorously at its transformation for nearly a century. Well, when Kardec says that this transformation, he was at the middle of the 19th century, and he's mentioning here that for nearly a century, the transformation had already begun. So then one century before, we were at the middle of the 18th century. So there we have, if we go to France, we have the great thinkers there, which composed the philosophy of enlightenment. Men like Voltaire, Rousseau, Montesquieu, Diderot. So these thinkers that was talking about the new ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity, which is in the basis of the American Revolution in 1776, and also the French Revolution itself in 1789. Okay, so this was a time of a great change in ideas and also in the practical side, in the real world. The world was changing, right? So those ideas also were the basis for the democracy that we have today. So it started there, by the time of this philosophy of enlightenment. And then if we proceed here, Kardec says that each transformation is marked by a turning point. So this was the turning point, we can say. All those occurrences, French Revolution, American Revolution, with their ideas of equality, of liberty. And Kardec says that these crises, frequently painful and dolorous, are always followed by a phase of material and moral progress. So actually, the French Revolution was involved also some pain, right? Because after the French Revolution, we have the period of the terror. So some difficult situations, but that was followed by a phase of material and moral progress. And if we look at these last 150 or 200 centuries since that time until now, this crisis, painful and dolorous, we may think about the two world wars that we have in the first half of the 20th century. We have also, at that time, we have the experience of the totalitarian regimes like Nazism, fascism. By the other hand, also we have continued progress, right? Because we have the revolution in information technology, biogenetics, the consolidation of a democracy. But one point that we can see is that we have all this progress, but more of a material and intellectual progress, not that much of a moral progress. Actually, moral progress was and is still running well behind this material and intellectual progress. So we have here a kind of imbalance, and that is one of the main reasons for this transformation process we are going through. Next point is this. If we have a development on the intellectual side, but not on the moral side, this imbalance we must come to a balance. So because Kardec says not on the book of Genesis, but on the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 3, he talks about the progression of the worlds. So there he says that the progress is one of the laws of nature. All inanimate and inanimate beings of creation are submitted to it by the goodness of God. So, and then he says that the earth has arrived at one of its periods of a transformation, in which, from being an expiatory world, it will become a regenerative one. So what is an expiatory world? Is a world where evil still dominates. Regenerative world, which is next step on this progress path, uh, we don't have this predominance of evil, although still not of a good also. So we will talk more about this regenerative world later. And the earth becomes this regenerative world, then he says humans will be happy because God's law we reign on it on our planet. So how that happens? Kardec, now going back to the Genesis, okay, to the book of the Genesis, Kardec says that since the good soul must finally reign on the earth, it will be necessary to exclude spirits who are hardened in evil and who could be troubled to it. So what is Kardec is talking here? He's talking about here exactly here is that is the meaning of that separation of the shepherd separating sheep and goats. We mean goats are these ones who will be excluded from our planet, and sheep are those who will remain in our planet. So exactly this is Kardec saying is what Jesus said in his sermon. And how will this happen? Then Kardec says that those spirits still connected to evil, they will be exiled to lower worlds, as formerly those of the Adamic race were exiled to the earth, and they will be replaced by better spirits. But basically, Kardec is saying here is that those spirits who are still hardened in evil, they if our planet is going to progress, they cannot stay here, so they will exile to another world, a lower world in progress. And that happened about 1,000 of years ago, when the spirits from another world, we know about this world as the chapel world, and this spirit came into earth. So that exactly is the same that is going to happen now with our planet. And Kardec says there, in that lower world, they will expiate their hardness of heart, but we also bring them the knowledge they have acquired. So here we can see also the wisdom of God, which these spirits, they go to a lower world, they will expiate their hardness of heart, which means they will learn about love there, but also as they are intelligent, we are intelligent spirits, they will bring the knowledge they have there. So mentioned what happened on our planet about, let's say, about 10,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago. Those spirits who came from another world to Earth, what did they do here? We can connect them to the building of the first civilizations. for example, the civilization of India, Egypt, Mesopotamia, even China, So uh, very intelligent spirits who incarnated here on our planet and helped us, which at that time we were practically at the primitive stage. Okay, so this is what will happen now. Huh? So going, and then, but you see that Kardec says here that these spirits will be replaced by better spirits. Who are these better spirits? These spirits, he mentioned them as the new generation. On that same chapter 18 of the book of Genesis, he says that the current generation will disappear gradually, and the new one will follow it in the same way. And he says, in a child being born, instead of a backward spirit inclined toward evil, there will be a more advanced spirit with the propensity for the good. So it's a kind of a replacement of spirits. Those who are not allowed to stay here will not reincarnate anymore in our planet, and new spirits, more advanced, will reincarnate in our planet. So, what is the effect of this? Is that this moral progress that is still we need to achieve in our planet will happen because these more advanced spirits will be with us. So this is what Kardec is saying here, okay? And he says that these two generations, they hold the ideas and views that are completely opposite, for sure. And how we can discern one from the other. He says that by the nature of their dispositions, for to evil or for good, it is easy to tell which of the two each of the two sides each individual belongs. Okay, so this is something that he's saying there in the Genesis. All this is that separation of sheep and goats that Jesus said 2,000 years ago. Okay. And then he says that the regeneration of the humankind does not we have an is not note, does not require spirits to be completely renewed. A modification in their moral outlook is sufficient. What Kardec is saying here is that it's not that we, for example, we that are now in our planet, we will not be allowed to reincarnate anymore. No, most of the spirits who are incarnated in the earth today will remain in our planet, because Kardec says a modification in the moral outlook is sufficient. He says there that there are many people who look evil, but they are not really evil. They are perhaps in need of more understanding about the spiritual values, for example, about our real condition of immortal spirits. So who is going through a progress on reincarnating in this planet. So if they have this understanding, maybe they will not have this tendency to evil, as Kardec says. So he says that those who come back to Earth are not always other spirits, but frequently the same ones, who now think and feel in a different way. What Kardec is saying here is that when we, after death, when we go to the spiritual realm, we normally reflect about what we did when we were here, what we had promised before coming here, what we did do, what we did not, and then after this reflection, we change our mind, and then in the next reincarnation, we come with a different outlook. Is this what he's saying? So that's why I should say that the most of us will remain on Earth. Just those who are really hardened in evil, as he says, will not be allowed to remain here. Okay. So this is what he talks about the new generation. And this process is not something that happens at once, but it happens gradually. It's through decades, through centuries. Maybe this is happening since 200 years ago, and it's happening today, and will happen in the next, perhaps, I don't know, 1 or 2 centuries. We don't know for sure, but the process is already happening. So that's what he's saying. Okay, so after this outlook of 2,000 years of history, so let's look at our current situation. So what is our current situation today? We have a great progress in science and technology, but we have a deepening inequality. We have an increase of poor people. We have environmental degradation. So we have the problem, for example, pollution, depletion of natural resources, water, soil, deforestation. Fortunately, is a problem here in my country. So regarding the inequality, we have the poverty increase, as mentioned, the problem of the refugees running away from war, from hunger. So this is a very imbalanced situation we have now on Earth. On the ethic side, we have an exacerbated individualism and materialism, so which indicates that moral progress is needed now. Okay, so this situation, because of this situation, we have some risks of a nuclear war, for example, because we have our nuclear power is enough to destroy the Earth many times. So it doesn't make sense to have this situation. The ecosystem destruction because of the environment degradation will prevent us to the future generation to have to live here on our planet. And we must remember that future generation is us ourselves on new reincarnation. So if we were aware of that, we would treat our planet in a different way. And also the social turmoil that is still happening because of many problems of prejudice, of race, many all kinds of prejudice we have today in our world. We see that happening today in some countries. So this is the risk that we have. And then instead of all these risks, we have now an unexpected event, that's this pandemic situation. So that's makes us thinking about the reason for this pandemic situation, because this is a kind of a calamity, like those plagues, those famines that I mentioned that happened in the past. So what is the reason of these calamities that happens on Earth? Kardec does these questions on the Book of the Spirits, and here what were the answer? So in the question 737, he asked the spirits, for what purpose does God inflict the humankind with destructible calamities? And the answer is, to impel them to progress more quickly, to accomplish in a few years what would otherwise require many centuries, you see? So the calamities, although it causes pain, it causes, on the other hand, it forces us to advance more fastly. You can think, for example, about the French Revolution that I mentioned before. Was a very great transformation, and in a few years, basically in half of a century, the world was completely changed with these new ideas set by those philosophers of enlightenment that I mentioned. So the pandemic situation compels us to perceive our global interconnection. We are all interconnected. This is clear today, okay, because the pandemic initiated far away from us, and then from on the east, and then came to Europe, and then to Americas, and then this is now in the South America, and it will spread throughout the world. So we are all interconnected, and then we must rethink our way of life, what we do, what we think, what we say. So this is what is necessary today. So after this, we for sure we will advance it in a few years, like the answer to the question says. What would require centuries, because it's difficult to change. And then when you are in a situation of a crisis, then we are compelled to change. So that's one of the reasons we can mention for this pandemic. So there is some many problems, problems of being contaminated by the COVID, problems, material problems, people losing jobs. But on the other side is an opportunity to change the world, to change all the way we live today. Okay, so this is part of this transformation process. It's part of the planetary transition we are going through, and then we are going to the regenerative world. So what is this regenerative world, or world of regeneration? And then Kardec says there on the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 3, that these regenerative worlds, they serve as a transition between worlds of trial and expiation and happy worlds. Well, I already explained that the worlds of trial and expiation are worlds where evil dominates. Happy worlds are worlds where good dominates. So regenerative world is in the middle of the two, transition, as the name says. So this is where we are going to this transition. And Kardec says that in this regenerative world, which is our Earth, I don't know, two or three centuries from now, the souls who still having something to expiate may absorb a new strength by resting from the fatigue of struggle. We can think about how stressing is our life today. And then in this regenerative world, which will be tired of the violence, of wars, of many problems, that the inequality, lots of problems that we still have today, we will have that moment of rest. So that means this regenerative world. There we will prepare ourselves to, in the far in the future, we can reach the happy worlds. So this is also under what Kardec says on the book of the spirits, one of the moral laws, which is the law of progress. So we all spiritists are created simple and ignorant, and we go through the reincarnation process, progressing until perfection. relative perfection, we say, because absolutely only God. But then this is our process, and as we, as a spirit, evolve through this process, the worlds we live also evolved together. Okay, as we body also evolves. You can think about the bodies we used in the primitive world when we still living in caves, and the body that we have now. And we can imagine which kind of a body we have in the future. So everything is evolving. And uh, but Kardec says regenerative world is not a perfect world. So he says that the humanity still experiences our sensations and desires, but it is free from the muddled passions that enslaved us. You see, where, for example, today we have some occurrences that cause horror to us, like the feminicide, for example. So this is muddled passions that enslave us, that Kardec says here. This is not going to happen in the regenerative world. So uh, it doesn't look much, but we can assure that it's much better than what we have today. So that's where we are going through. Okay. So it's important for us to have a conscience of this, because then we can adapt ourselves to this situation and connect it to this great transformation that is going through our globe. So to conclude here, we can again mention Kardec now on the Gospel according to Spiritism, the chapter 12, where he talks about the workers of the last hours. So there, he says that the moral, it's not exactly there, it's a spirit which is saying there. There's a communication from mediumship, okay? The spirit is saying that the moral and philosophical upheavals will occur at all points on the globe. So it's exactly what is happening on the last 200 years is what is happening today, and probably will happen in the near future. Okay, so this also is necessary for this progress. For example, we see here today in the Kardec says signs of transformation is in the social state of affairs and in phenomena that are more moral than physical. So what he means here is that this transformation, although it involves calamities such as the pandemic, which that I mentioned, the wars that I mentioned also, the transformation, the crisis is more, the transformation is more moral than material. So this is what's more important, which is you're going to happen among us. So that's what is he's saying. For example, today we are as humanity, we are struggling from basic income for poor people. Some countries are still working on that. We here in Brazil are working on this basic income for people who have no job here. We people are struggling about opportunities for poor people. People are challenging all kinds of prejudice, race, gender, sexual orientation. We also have today the need for restructuring of the politics. So all those factors, besides the pandemic, they raise all kinds of disturbance and anxiety. So that situation, this apparently a chaos is not a chaos, but it looks like that. They require proper understanding and consolation also, because people are suffering with this situation. And here we come with the spiritism, the mission that spiritism has to bring people this understanding of what the life really means, and consoling them for for their suffering, because Jesus had already anticipated also that he would send the promised consoler, which is the Spiritism, which is now come here to do actually to disseminate the Gospels of Jesus under the
Roberto? Where is Roberto? He left. Okay. Can you see us, guys? Can you see us? Roberto? Okay, guys, I think Roberto left by mistake, so he probably pressed the wrong button. We're gonna tell him to come back. Just 1 second. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. Okay. Sorry, guys, I think Roberto left us by mistake. So I sent to him a message now. So I hope he will come back. But for those who are saying to us here regarding to the translation, as we wrote there, it's not up to us to translate the event, but it's up to Facebook, unfortunately. So let me see if he's coming back. Sorry, guys, maybe Roberto had an issue with his internet. Yeah, so Roberto probably had an issue with his internet. Let's see if he will come back. Okay. See. Okay, guys, so I think Roberto, as I said, he probably had an issue with his internet back in Brazil. For those who doesn't know, we are the Spirit Society of Ireland. So we are here in Dublin. We're not in Brazil. So that's why everything is in English. And also because this live is being presented in America through Kardec Radio. So we're going to give 2 or 3 more minutes to Roberto. If he doesn't come back, if you guys have any questions, we can try to reply to Pastor Roberto later on. Otherwise, we're going to do our final prayer and end a little bit earlier. But I'd say the speech of Roberto was really good. He used the Genesis quite a lot, a book which we study here in Dublin also. And I think his speech was very enlightening. So if he doesn't come back here, we from the Spirit Society of Ireland and also from the Kardec Radio, we would like to thank Roberto for his time, for his great and wonderful speech. It was very enlightening and very knowledgeable. But sometimes, guys, because of the COVID-19, we are having these lives. These technical issues can happen. I hope you guys understand. But also for those who want to see his work in Portuguese, you guys can go on Facebook and put Roberto Watanabe, and he has plenty of his speeches on YouTube in Portuguese, where he talks about the same topic. Let me see if he's coming back. Okay. Yes, guys. So unfortunately, Roberto, I don't think he will come back. Let me see. Let me even try to give a call to him. See if his internet's come through. Let me see. Roberto? Okay, guys. So sorry again. As we said, we had this technical issue with Roberto's internet. So I just spoke with him over the phone. He's coming back in 2 seconds. At the same time, if you guys have any questions, so there he is. Roberto is back. Hi, Roberto.
Hi, Wanderlei. I'm sorry,
Uh,
I didn't notice that I had left the stream.
Now, technical issues, it happens. As I
Ah,
was explaining to people, you are back in São Paulo, we are here in Dublin, so it can happen. It's okay, no worries.
okay.
The speech was right in the end. So if you want to do any kind of final consideration, you can do it, and we can start with a few questions, and we have a few questions. We can start from that. What do you think?
Yes, okay. So at the end, I was just mentioning the mission that we spiritists have to take this message of the spiritism, which is the gospel of Jesus in the language of spiritism, uh, uh, to uh, uh, to the world. And so we and then I observed that we we may accomplish this task and ask for help of Jesus
Yeah.
on such intent. So um, and sorry again
No,
for
it's
leaving.
okay. It
Mm,
happens. But
okay.
Roberto, I'd like to make one question.
Mm,
Here in the Genesis, I think item 2, if I'm not mistaken, or item 3, Kardec
mm,
explains to us that the globes itself, they evolve according to the spirits. So a
mm.
globe can only evolve if the spirits are evolving together.
Yes.
So which recommendations could you give to everyone who is watching for them to improve, for them to evolve, to stay living here on Earth? Any
Mm.
recommendations you could give to us, please?
Yes, the basic recommendation is what is in the gospel according to Spiritism. Well, because you see, for example, in the situation of this pandemic situation, we are having many suffering. People are going through difficult situations, but we also are seeing lots of solidarity. So here, for example, in Brazil, people are struggling to help the people who lost jobs to have nothing to eat, and then making this the effort to help them to give them food, clothes, and so. But also, we as spirits, we can, for example, we have in the spiritism the work of vibration, which we can do. So this is a kind of a spiritual help to other people that are suffering. So we can help in many ways. I would say that the the best way to us to prepare ourselves to this new world that is coming out there, there is improving our solidarity. This is, I think is the key word, which is in the gospel is charity. Without charity is the basic word.
Okay. Yeah, we are seeing that some people they are saying that there is no good
Mm,
being done around the world, but as you said, we are seeing a lot of people help each other. You
yeah.
know, We are not only living, we are not only seeing bad things happening. And also, a lot of times people, they come to us and they ask, Vanderlei, if I discarnate now, and let's say if I'm not doing anything good, I'm not going to come back to Earth, will in the future, am I going to be able to, if I improve my spirit, let's say if I go to another planet, just for example, if you go to Mars, for example, all the spirits who are not able to reincarnate here, they go to Mars, for example. The question is, would they come back to Earth if they improve there?
No, for sure. What happened on that chapel that I mentioned before? The chapel is a star on the constellation of on some constellation, and then around this star chapel, there is a planet, and from that planet, the spirits came to Earth. Let's say it's 6,000 years ago, and then, for example, they built the Egyptian civilization. The Spirit Emmanuel says on the path to light, the book he dictated to Chico Xavier. He says that the Egyptians, you go now to Egypt and you see that pyramids, and you see how do they build that? You know, we don't have idea of how did that. How they built that pyramids. So what Emmanuel says is that those spirits came from chapel that built the Egyptian civilization. As soon as they arrived here, they said, well, now that we are here, we are going to do our lesson. So what Emmanuel says, most of them return already to chapel. So the same can happen with us. Okay, so what we can see in all this process is not a suffering, separation, or punishment. We must have in mind also the mercy of God. God does not do anything to punish it. Everything that God does is for good, for our good. Okay, so but it depends on our free will. The free will is a key word also in spiritism, right? Because it all depends on us, on what we do with our life.
Yeah, true. Yeah, free will, it's a word that we can say that we are putting the responsibility over our shoulders and not putting into the others anymore. It's a very difficult thing to do to some people, because some people, they still think that the world is the guilt and that they are just like victims.
Yeah.
This we have no victims.
Yeah.
And also here I have some. Divaldo Franco says to us that spirits such as Saint Francis of Assisi, Kardec himself, even the great philosophers, they will reincarnate on Earth to help their generation. What do you think about that?
I think that is marvelous. You imagine, spirits like Saint Augustine, which is there on the Book of Spirits, is Gospel according to Spiritism. Saint Augustine, Francis of Assisi. All these guys coming here to Earth, it will be they will enlighten our world. So that would be very good.
Very good. And just another final question that we have, and the same speech which I'm talking about, Divaldo explains to us that unfortunately, bad things, they will come to us until the time that we're going to have more good than evil in the regeneration. What do you think about this? Do you think we may have even another coronavirus, another pandemic in the future, or a war? What do you think about this?
Yeah, that is also, Vanderlei, depends on our free will. For example, let's say that with this pandemic that we have now, we changed our mind. We must change our mind. Let's do a world with less inequality, less violence. So those things, new pandemic is not needed. So, but if we after the well, we not we now we are concerned about this pandemic. Then after when then we discover the cure for this COVID, and then we forget everything and try to return to the life we have before. In that case, maybe a new pandemic will come. So all depending on us. So that's something important also. The the divine laws are are, are are throughout our universe, but we also have our free will to connect ourselves to these laws or to go away from these laws. So that's the situation, and this regenerative world is a world which will be built by each one of us, because humanity is the individuals. When most of the individuals change their minds to the good side, then humanity will change, and then we have the regenerative world, and then we will not have a wars, pandemic, and suffering. Not of these anymore.
Good. We have a final comment here from Sandra Laregia. So she says, I have seen that we are studying more and much more deeply in this pandemic. Spirit teams feels very strong and without borders against studying physically located centers. So yeah, I think I agree with Sandra, because we are studying much more now with the internet.
Yeah.
And we thought, like, our spirit center, as in Brazil, it's closed here in Dublin. In the UK, in the entire world, I'd say all the religious places, they are closed. But we are doing a lot of studies online. And what do you think about this internet, helping us to spread spiritism?
Well, I think it's wonderful because, here in the state of São Paulo Spiritist Federation, we have our courses here on Spiritism, on our classrooms with 50 people, 100 students. And so it was limited. We have, we had before the pandemic, we had 4,000 students. So now we are with our installation closed, and then we had to go to this digital media, and what we are seeing now is that we have a chance to spread the spirit throughout the world. It's not more inside our walls of our buildings. We can spread much more. So I think this is something very positive from this pandemic situation, regardless of the suffering that it causes. So and this opportunity for studying, to understanding the meaning of the pandemic, the meaning of this planetary transition, the meaning of we living in this situation, this situation of a crisis. So that's very important to us. That is, to understand this, I think it helps us to stay in the earth on the regenerative level.
Okay, Roberto, we're gonna have to close now. So first of all, we would like to thank you a lot for the great speech here, and also for the FESP, the Spiritist Federation of the State of São Paulo. We are very, very thankful. And also to Kardec Radio, and each one of us here back in São Paulo, people from the UK, from the USA, and from Ireland who are watching us. Would you like to do your final thoughts? Would like to say anything before we do the final prayer?
Well, what I would say is that, we must always remember that we are immortal spirits, something that everyone knows, that we are going through the reincarnation. We are going on a progress path, and But in this situation that we are living now is a special situation because we have the opportunity like Kardec's, like the spirit answer to Kardec, we have the chance to do in some days or some months what would take maybe years or decades for us to transform ourselves. So I think to go through the situation, we must have faith. We must persevere on good. And as Emmanuel says, everything passes. So just look forward to a better situation.
Good. So again, Roberto, thank you very much for your great speech. Thank you very much, everyone from São Paulo, from USA, from Dublin, from everywhere who is watching us. We got a lot of people here tonight. The speech was wonderful, very enlightening, very knowledgeable. So we are very, very thankful for having you here. We're gonna do our final prayer in order to close. Maybe we can have you here in the future. So maybe Steve will talk to you in the future. Yes, for sure. You know, maybe you can come here and give to us another great speech.
I would be glad to.
Okay. Okay, so I'd like to invite everyone who feels comfortable to close our eyes, to take a deep breath. We'd like to thank our Master Jesus, the mentors of our Spirit Center who are supporting and guiding us. We would like to thank Roberto and his mentors, all the good spirits present here tonight. Thank each one of us, and I hope that this speech was an invitation to each one of us to think about our actions, what have we done with our free will, an invitation to change. And may the words of Jesus touch our hearts and open ourselves for changes in the future. As he said, none of the ships lost, of the ships given by God, would be lost. Thanks to everyone who are here tonight. Thank our Master Jesus. So be it.
So be it.
Okay, Roberto. So, Roberto, we're gonna close here the end broadcast, but we're gonna be still here. I'm gonna have a word with you just after I finish the broadcast. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys in São Paulo, America, and Dublin. Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you all for watching.
Yeah. Okay.